My husband betrayed me with his work wife, but he doesn't know that I know. I've been letting him think everything is fine, when in reality, I'm building my dream life behind his back and ruining his. My husband and I had been together for 9 years when his female coworker's husband, let's call him John, messaged me. He was heartbroken, and he thought I ought to know. My husband had been sleeping with his work wife, and John had receipts. I felt so stupid, especially because I'd always ignored my friends warning me that a work wife was a red flag. On top of that, she had met me and was extremely nice and even doted on our 6-year-old daughter. I remember asking John what he wanted to do when he texted me, and he said he wanted to meet. I agreed, and the meeting went very unexpectedly. The only thing I planned was discussing the situation at hand, but before I knew it, I found myself breaking down. I told him I'm currently not working. After the pandemic, I lost my job, and now because of this terrible economy, I haven't been able to find a job. I cried a lot to him, saying I've been studying so hard these past few years because I really wanted to be a hardworking, motivated woman for my husband, and he just spat it back in my face. But I can't even divorce him, because if I do it, I have no money to provide for my daughter. If that happens, the courts will give our daughter to him because I don't have any money to my name. And I know him. He wouldn't let me see her. I cried while saying all of this. And John just held my hand. I remember he wiped my tears for me with a napkin, and after he did, I asked him for the world's biggest favor, if he could wait for a few months before divorcing his wife, just to give me some time to figure out what to do. Well, he agreed without a second though. When I left the cafe that day, I thought I'd never speak to him again, but we actually kept in touch. He called me a few times over the next week to check in on me while both of our spouses were with friends, and very soon we started talking about things other than our failed marriages. We even started going for walks, coffee, and movies. Before I knew it, I found myself thinking about him often with a smile on my face. He became the first thing I thought of in the morning, and the last thing I thought of before going to bed. And yet, even though my husband and I stopped having intimacy, stopped speaking much, and I distanced myself, I was happier than I had been in years, all because of how amazing John was. And what really sealed the deal for me was that not once during this whole time where I distanced myself did my husband ask what's wrong. I hadn't kissed him in almost a month, and he still said nothing. In my mind, I was with John, and we hung out a couple times per week for 3 to 4 months. And although we definitely flirted a little, made jokes about being into one another, and put whipped cream from our donuts on each other's noses, it was never too serious. Until one faithful day 2 weeks ago, we were having a picnic, and he just blurted out, "I think that I'm in love with you." My jaw dropped, and he proceeded to tell me that I was special to him, and it's thanks to me he's not gone insane. He told me he thinks of me every morning and every night, and it's while I was listening to him talk that I realized I was also fully in love with him. He said that at first he wasn't sure why he was feeling like this towards me, but after some thought, he realized he wasn't broken anymore, that he even thought of his wife's infidelity as a blessing, because it leads him to me. My stomach filled with butterflies, because that was exactly how I felt too, but I didn't know what to say. I told him that I was terrified of these feelings going away once we freed ourselves from those who hurt us. I felt almost sad because of it, but he just beamed at me and said he was willing to take the risk to find out. He kissed my hand, but as soon as he did, I just pulled away. I told him I wasn't ready for this. I teared up and asked him how by sneaking around, by telling each other I love you, how are we any better than our significant others who cheated? I told him I had no idea what to do, because I too find myself daydreaming about him, that I want to introduce him to my daughter, to kiss him and wake up next to him every morning. But at the same time, I have a husband who is the father of my daughter, and I can't be going around betraying him like this. And so I packed up and left on the spot. I drove home and cried. I didn't know what to do. I loved John and hated my husband. I hated him so much, in fact, that in one single moment I realized I was more than ready to confront him. But then, right as I finally felt strong enough to do so, John messaged me. He asked me to meet him in our favorite park, saying he had a special surprise for me. I remember feeling so guilty about it, but I couldn't stop myself. I made an excuse to my husband saying I was going to get physiotherapy for my back pain. He flat-out ignored me. I was at the park 20 minutes later, and that's where I saw John in a light I had never seen him in. He was standing there in a suit that looked so good on him. He had a bouquet of my favorite flowers, a takeout coffee, and even a chocolate cake he baked from scratch just for me. He told me he was done playing games. He wanted me. He wanted me bad, and I knew I wanted him too. I remember wanting to kiss him, and then I saw him start to walk towards me, and the closer he got to me, the more my brain went into panic mode. And it's only when he was face to face with me that I finally made my decision. I decided to just hug him and accept the flowers. I chickened out. I just stood there blushing, as he told me he loved me. When he said that, it took every ounce of my strength not to just say FK everything and jump into his arms. He is so lovely. When I got home, my husband had already picked up our daughter, and they were just joking around and having fun. I felt so much sadness and pure horror building up inside me. What am I doing? What are we doing? All of us? The guilt washed over me seeing my daughter's happy face playing around with her food. I couldn't take it. My husband and the other woman haven't texted this month, and they haven't met either, or at least as far as John and I know. Of course, they work together, so we don't know if the affair has subsided or if they just have learned to be more cautious, but my husband has been more attentive at home, warmer and more present. He says he loves me all the time and that he misses me. I haven't been intimate with him since I found out about the affair, and even the smallest touch from him irks me, and any beautiful word or compliment from him sets my teeth on edge. I just want to scream liar, and I feel like I'm cheating on John. Accepting my husband's affection, and the disdain for myself becomes unbearable. I looked at my husband and tried to remember what I loved about him, but I couldn't. All I could see was his text to her, about how great the last time was, and what he wanted to do to her next. All the things he once said he wanted to do and did to me that made me feel so special. I tried to think harder about the love, but I only saw John's face. I felt immense rage and hatred towards my husband, but also myself and John. I couldn't control my feelings of anger and resentment and guilt, so I wrote John a long text telling him all this and more. He tried to call me, but I couldn't answer him. My heart was swollen in my throat. I told my husband that I wanted to sleep in my my daughter's room tonight, something I've been doing a lot since this all started. I cried all night watching her beautiful face so peaceful and happy. This morning, Don called me again and we talked for over an hour. He was very subdued and I heard the fear in his voice. He told me that he respected my wishes to take a break from each other, but also to remember that even when I was at my weakest, I still knew exactly what I wanted, and that I chose to stay to secure a future for myself and my daughter. You're too close now to your goal just to stumble and fall. He said he loved me, and that he never felt like this before, and that he will wait. I cried for a good hour afterward, already missing his voice. I know that my marriage is unsalvageable, and that I'm doing the right thing, leaving it even with the nagging feeling of guilt that's simmering beneath the surface, boiling over every now and then waking me up at night, but I need to do this alone now. Update 2. John's mom is sick. She lives in another city about 7 to 8 hours drive away. John went to visit her and he texted me before going. He apologized for texting me because we weren't supposed to keep in touch anymore, but he wanted me to know he was out of town. I drove over there on Thursday because it sounded like it was serious. I arrived at the hospital around noon. He looked miserable. His mother isn't even old. She is 58. My heart is breaking. I could only stay for an hour before heading back home. I feel so guilty leaving him alone. His sisters live across the world, and they won't be able to fly home before Christmas. On Friday, John came home and broke off his marriage. I don't know all the details, but he didn't mention to her that he knew about her infidelity, just that he wasn't happy anymore and didn't want to be married to her. He texted me, thanked me for visiting him and his mother, and told me about his filing for a divorce from his wife. He is moving back to his hometown to be with his mother. He left yesterday but will return once more to get the rest of his stuff. Even though I understand him, and even if I wasn't seeing him anymore, the city feels empty and gloomy without him. I'm still going strong with my studies, and as I said, I secured a job in April with a decent salary that will increase by 30% once I graduate 2 months later. I have also signed a lease on an apartment that is a few blocks away from my daughter's school. You can't imagine the happiness I was in when I found the apartment. But most importantly, they accepted my bad credit, having not had income for over 2 years now. I have found a nonprofit organization for women to call and ask for information and advice. In the beginning, my husband didn't seem bothered about having intimacy. Probably, not certainly, because he had someone else, someone new. But with time he started to show me affection again, trying to get intimate with me. I avoided him like the plague. He never pressured me, but he was getting upset, and I felt him getting frustrated. His affair had died out by then, or maybe it wasn't as fun and exciting for them. I don't know. I'm not an expert on affairs. For over 2 months now, he has been trying to open the subject of our non-existent intimacy life, but I just told him that I didn't have a drive, or that I was busy, this being the last year of my studies. I have been able to keep him at bay, and while my explanations and excuses weren't making him happy, they were good enough to keep him away until about a week ago, when he wanted to discuss this seriously. I told him again that I was busy and that my sex drive was very low. It is. He said that it wasn't just the intimacy. We had no intimacy. He barely is allowed to be near me. I never talk to him anymore. Like I don't make an effort anymore. I asked him if we could just wait until after the holidays because I'm too busy. He then said something that triggered every nerve in my body. Something like it is not healthy for marriage when one partner neglects the other, because then you start looking somewhere else. I just said that it wasn't true because he started sleeping way before I started neglecting him. He was in total shock. First, he tried to know more. Maybe he misheard me. Then he started to deny it, then made excuses, then started apologizing, then asked for details and what my plans were. When I told him about getting a job and an apartment, he pleaded and tried to hold me. This past week, he's tried to talk to me every day, and I have been calm with him. He had so many questions. Why didn't I tell him before? At least he could have explained. She meant nothing to him. The relationship ended. He had no feelings for her. It was just physical. He loved me and nobody else. Think about our daughter. He regretted what he did, and that's why he ended it. Why was I not more upset? I told him that I had mourned us for a year and that I was over it now. He still thought this was unfair because this is all new to him. I told him about my job and my new place and asked him to be patient with me, think about our daughter, and put her first in whatever is coming. He was so angry by that and told me that if I had thought about our daughter for a second, I would have confronted him there. Be honest. We could have tried to fix it with therapy and some effort because he never loved anyone like he does me, and he would drop everything else to try and make it right with me. But I chose secrecy, plotting and planning my life without him while pretending everything was fine. I started crying and begged him that, however angry he was with me, not to take it out in a way that affected our daughter. I told him that I did all of this for her. I didn't want her to see us fight. I didn't want to leave without having the means to offer her a good life. Now he is so angry with me all the time. He barely looks my way. He is still sweet with our daughter though, and that is comforting. I sleep in my daughter's room most nights. I never meant for it to blow up this soon, but you can spend your whole time planning and preparing the perfect exit, but life has never been predictable. I don't regret my outburst. Maybe it was time anyway. I will continue communicating with him about the importance of staying civil to each other. He is angry now, and he feels cheated and deceived, and I get all that, but I need him to put aside the hurt and think of our daughter, just like I did. And just like I did, he will get over the pain in time. Edit. John is in the process of divorce too. He has moved back to his hometown because his mother is very ill. I'm afraid his sisters live in Australia, but they have both come home, so it feels good that he and his mother are not alone. I have visited them 3 times since I heard the sad news, but he lives far away, so I haven't been able to stay for long periods to support them. We talk over the phone every morning, though. He is devastated. We don't know what the future holds. John lives in another town, 8 hours drive away. We haven't talked about us in ages. We have a lot going on in our lives separately. All I care about now is his mom doing better, or at least not suffering. Update 4. I have a great job now with a great company and great and supportive coworkers. I'm so thankful for that. I live now in my own apartment. That's where the greatness ends. Because it doesn't matter how long you have known a person, how much you have trusted and loved them, or how much you thought they loved and valued you. You don't know them before you hit hit rock bottom with them. My ex-husband has shown nothing but cruelty and vindictiveness towards me, and at times our daughter, making me question why I have chosen to rock the boat. I thought I was doing all of this for my baby. I wanted to give her a dignified life and a strong role model for me. A happy and content mother to be her hero, and yet she's the one who suffered the most during this time. When I told my husband about my plans to leave him, he was in denial at first, which was bad, but it was nothing compared to when he realized I was telling the truth. He used every means possible to break me and dissuade me from leaving. He started with threats about taking full custody. Then he took all my assets from me. He got primary custody of our daughter and refused me to see her while the court made the assessment that I was fit to have shared custody because he filed a motion that I was broke and suffered from mental illnesses. I'm being treated for depression and PTSD. I couldn't see my daughter for 8 weeks because of bureaucracy, and I thought I was going mad because of that, even contemplating just getting back together with him to get my daughter back. When I finally saw her, I was awarded shared custody. She was so angry and broken. She told me how much she hated me and wanted to be with daddy. He told me that my daughter hated me because I was a bad mother, and I knew he was poisoning her mind. Even when we had shared custody and she started to warm up to me again, she still had a hard time loving me the first day after she'd been with her father until I won her back. She is almost her normal happy self at the end of the week before she is going back to his place and the vicious cycle begins. He tried everything not to divide our assets according to the prenup, but that wasn't a priority of mine. Even if I had to start from scratch, I was willing to give him anything not to make him angrier with me that he takes it out on our baby. Once he came with a suggestion that I left him everything and gave away all my rights, and he gave me full custody. I thought something finally heard my prayers before he changed his mind and filed a new motion suing for full custody. He was playing with me. During this whole ordeal, I was feeling doubts and resentment towards myself for not just complying and obeying him and staying with him until our daughter was older. The self-doubt and fear were almost paralyzing. And one day at the beginning of summer, I wrote a very long letter to him, reminding him of his love for his daughter and the promise he made to her when she was born to do anything to protect her. I reminded him that I was just a woman, and he could replace me anytime, but that his daughter is his daughter. I begged him not to use her to hurt someone who is replaceable. Don't use a valuable treasure as a weapon to destroy a cheap target. A target you easily replaced once before. He didn't answer me, but he stopped texting and calling me for purposes other than our daughter. She has been happier too, and says she loves me and daddy. I don't know if it was my letter, but he just stopped trying to hurt me. Once, when he dropped her off, he apologized for everything he did back to cheating on me in the first place, and said that he loved us, and promised not to hurt us anymore. He has since kept this promise. He has during all this time, since January, been having an on-again, off-again girlfriend, who when on I get to see my daughter more, because I get her even on his weeks. I find myself hoping for them to get back together so I can have my daughter in a stable home. As for John, he still lives in his hometown near his mother. She is very sick, and no chemo or procedure works now. I have visited them as much as I have been able to. He has been a great support throughout this ordeal, which always made me feel guilty given what he is going through, but he always said he is happy to listen and wants to. No, we call and text each other every day. Last month, when my husband had my daughter on a trip with his family, John showed up at my door. He said he just wanted to see me, and he had booked a hotel room that he ended up not using. He spent the weekend with me in my apartment, and it was the first time I've allowed myself to be with him. He was everything I imagined and more. He said he loved me, and it was all I could do not to start bawling pathetically. I didn't know it was possible to love someone this much. John's divorce is finalized, but we have decided not to make our relationship public until my life is in order. We have waited for 2 years. What are a few more months? I'm so much happier now.